I just show you this part so you know that it's not off in the middle of nowhere where I just found a piece of wood, but it's literally right next to me, right where I pull over. And after seeing a piece or two here, it reminded me of a piece down the road that I'm going to take you and show you of this plasma firewood. So this looks like it's just kind of an ambient background microwave energy that has burned this log. This little bit of charcoaling here, a little bit of charcoaling here. You can see the surface is blackened and charcoaled. That's my word that I think it's accurate. So if we get over here, you can see the unburnt part of the log, which actually helps you be able to see the charcoal burn part of the log a little better. Otherwise it just looks like a black log. So to see the unburned wood contrast next to the charcoal. There we go. Kind of helps you be able to see it better and transfer the 3D onto the 2D screen a little easier. Hi, Mr. Hopper. Okay, enough of this one piece of wood. I'm gonna go show you another little tiny one that I saw over here a little ways. Not a little ways, it's just like 10 steps around the corner. So, now that you know up close what you're looking at there. Oh, glare. So that's what this is, just one log in the middle of wherever, right off the edge of the road. That's kind of why I showed you the beginning part. And I don't go looking high and low for this stuff, that's the point. I'm kind of losing it in the... That was the point of showing you that first part, that it's right off the road. I don't go looking high and low and, hey, look, I found one, like I said. I can show you a million trees between Nephi and St. George that are at least 1,000 to 5,000 of them right in the middle of the freeway between the north and southbound lanes. So, but my point is, after I filmed that log, it reminds me of one right down the road. So here's one. Just kind of tucked up in the bushes here. Where you can see this is burnt. It's charcoaled here, unburned here, unburned here. And I've noticed before that knots, the knot of the wood, often in the burn patterns of the ones that I've lacquered, the knot is the densest part of the wood. There's more fibers drawn together right there in that one little area. Consider those fibers like copper wires drawn more densely packed into the knot of the wood, and that's why more energy is drawn to the knot. And we know that it's harder to cut with a saw and it's harder to burn in a regular fire, but in these fires, it's the opposite. It burns first, hottest, and fastest on the knot of the wood when it's got this energy flowing through it. And so now I'm going to push pause and drive down the road a piece to show you one of the most bizarre, peculiar, unusual. See, we're right here next to the same spot. I'm gonna drive down the road and show you a plasma fire burn on a log that's literally above the water crossing the river. So we were just at pullout number 2, a designated pullout area. And all of those trees up there, I can show you a bunch up there that have the same indicators and burn signatures. The sun angle is at the wrong angle for this one, but it's burnt. right here. Yeah. Come on, give me some good shots. There we go. See how highly charcoaled it is here. Fine line, no burn here. So that's how you know that it's plasma burn, not any other kind of burn. Is this fine line between charcoal and unburned. That difference where there's no temperature gradation, it goes from fully burned to zero burn in a straight line. Even if the line's not straight, it's a very fine line between burn and unburn. That's how you know fire don't do this. Then this one, this branch is highly charcoaled. That's the other way you know, oh, with some nice little unburned spots right here in the middle. Unburned right there, in the midst of all that charcoal. A highly burned charcoal log, right next to one that's even still got the bark on it. That's the distance between these two. How does that log end up charcoal? Right next to this log that's completely unburned. Because as the electricity goes up through it, it chooses to go up this branch and not this branch. Or when it does go up this branch, it burns this part and not that part. Like a lightning bolt going up through the wood. And that's how you end up with these burn patterns. And these are the type of plasma burn trees that I say there are 1 million of between Nephi and St. George on I-15. And they are visible from the freeway, like directly from the freeway, just like I'm parking right on the edge here now. You don't have to wander off into the distance. And when you realize that there's that many of them, that they're that abundant, it really brings into stark relief in your mind a very clear knowing of how blind people are, that there are millions of trees just like this off the side of the road, right in between the north and southbound lanes where there's a big, a big strip this wide of land, and then there's the other southbound lanes. In that strip of land between the north and southbound lanes are, I don't know, at least 10,000 trees you could spot that are literally between the two, maybe more, that are burnt just like this. Charcoal, right next to unburned with its bark, and there's the fine line right there. So while the sun is still at a good angle, there you go, there you can see the burned and unburned log right next to each other. I kind of got to adjust the lighting, and then you can see the unburned log is totally unburned wood. And then I adjust it over here, and you can see the charcoal log is totally charcoaled wood. But you can see that that burning on the charcoaled wood only goes surface deep right here. It's been cut. That's the other thing you'll notice. This log has been cut. This tree has been cut since it burned. And you can see that the burn only goes surface deep right here. There you go. You can see the burn only goes surface deep. And that the rest of the log, now I can get it at a better angle to the sun. So these are the two logs we were looking at from the other side. Why would someone cut this down after it's been burned? Maybe they're like me, maybe they're collecting pieces. But I know in a lot of cases they cut this stuff down to conceal it because it becomes glaringly obvious. But they leave enough of it for people who want to notice to be able to notice. Anyway, onward. Taking one for the team to bring you this gravy. No, actually I was just a dumbass and I thought I'd like to transmute it from dumbass into some sort of virtue. But it was just me being a dumbass. So, I'm gonna walk down here and show you this log that's crossing the river and how it's plasma burned. Last time I was here, it was just these couple logs and all this debris had not built up. So it might be a little more difficult to show you the plasma burns. But you can see that the charcoaling on this log, even right down here in the water, it's charcoaled. And then right here on this log, if I can get my shadow out the way, it's charcoaled right here, but unburned here. And there you can even see how thick the charcoaling is. It only goes very thin layer of charcoaling going on there. Between the unburned and the burn, only a couple centimeters, a couple millimeters maybe. So in this case, it burns from the outside in. You can see that it charcoals the outer layer, just like on those last trees where I show you it's charcoal on the outside, but because they had cut right through the log, you can see that the burning didn't go too deep. Let's see if we can't move some of this stuff out the way, so you can get a good shot of that charcoal. Now let's show you back out slowly to show you where that is. That's one charcoal area we looked at. There's the other charcoal area. See if I can do this without losing my camera in the water. So the two spots we just looked at were here and here. And these logs have been in the water for quite a while. Anyway, that plasma burn happened while it was in the water. I seem to remember a burn on the log that goes clear across. I'm gonna hit pause and look around for a minute. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cruise around to the other side of this log. We're gonna go and then come back and look from the other direction. Just letting you know, for in case I have to hit pause. Yeah, so I don't end up getting wet and all pissed off. If I could pull that out, I would. But anyway, you can see this charcoal area on this log. If my camera skills aren't too terrible. And then you can also see, oh, we got a spider. Spider on, spider on. Dude, I truly like, this is what you got to do to get the gravy. I was going to show you on the underside. That's where we were just crouched down looking at these two logs right here. That's some of the charcoal burn right there, center screen, that we were looking at. This little piece right here, charcoal burn. On the underside over here is a little bit more charcoal burn, but maybe we'll have to cruise back over there to get it. So while we're here, so yeah, this wood structure that we're standing on has changed over the last year. I have previous videos I've made of this plasma burn. I will include them linked in the description so that you can see, A, all this wood was not here. Why and how does all this wood suddenly end up piled up and making a big dam right here? I'm not saying I know the answer, I'm asking the question. It is kind of rhetorical because I have a pretty good idea, but I'm gonna just keep that to myself and let you contemplate for yourself. Because it's not like, oh, well, that happens every year. These logs were the only one that's here. This big one, this one that goes across, and maybe a couple of these vertical ones right here. That's the only logs that were here in the previous videos I've made of this plasma burn wood. Since then, all this debris has built up. It does not happen every year and then wash away. If it happened any year previously, you wouldn't just have these couple logs in my previous plasma fire videos. So what that tells me is that all this extra wood debris is unique to this year and has not happened in previous years Because next year, it'll still be here. It's not gonna wash away. And the year after, and the year after, and the year after, and forevermore, this will be one big giant beaver dam looking thing. But for quite a while, it was just this log that people put to cross the river that doesn't even touch the water. And this log for the same purposes. To walk along. You walk along this one, and you put your hands on this one, and you cross the river. That's what those were there for. They've been there many years. There was also a couple, this one and this one, lying here at the edge that were plasma burned, that I took videos of. Where did all this other wood come from, and why this year are we suddenly seeing a buildup of this wood debris, and that this little crosswalk will never be the same again? It'll always have all of this. It's not a, well, it builds up every year and then it washes away throughout the winter, and then by next summer it'll just be a few logs again. No. This is unique to this year. How are we getting so much dead wood built up in the water is what I'm asking. And I guess the answer really isn't even important enough for me to have gone on as long as I have about it. So here you can see the crossing bridge. Here you can see something I've been showing you and telling you, like on Prayer in Sea by Robin Schulz and Lily Woods in the Prick. Dia de los Muertos. I'm sure that's just total coincidence, man. That's just some random trash he found. There are so many of those coincidences that I long ago gave up trying to rationalize it as random coincidence, and have since come to recognize it as coordinated, orchestrated coincidences that coincide with that higher intelligence that coordinates these experiences for you. Otherwise, it's all random coincidence without any connection between the coinciding events. I gave up on that a long time ago. There's way too much going on in synchronicity. So I'm gonna keep this one. My point was that recently I figured out in Robin Schulz, Prayer in Sea, I've sang that song many a times because the lyrics are very apocalyptic, doomsday type lyrics. But only recently did I notice they were putting up these stickers all over town announcing the Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos. What we think of as, oh, that's just the Mexican version of Halloween. Not exactly. So I'm up here where there's no cell phone service, so I won't be able to pull up the Prayer in Sea lyrics for you, but I do have some other lyrics from a Smash Mouth song called When the Morning Comes, that I've already sent via text message, so I'll be able to pull those up. But the music video Prayer in Sea by Lily Woods and the Prick, and I think that's also Robin Schulz. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure it is. I'll just give you a couple lyrics that I can pull off the top of my head, and you can look up the rest of them yourself. But the point was, when I noticed they're announcing the Day of the Dead party, it makes sense and fits right in with the lyrics. And you're not just having a Halloween party. And anyone who worships this Day of the Dead, people like you and I that don't know any better would say, oh, that's a death cult. Ooh, they're death worshippers. Or they just know that the filtration happens every now and then, and on that day, the dead wood gets cleared out. Like the dead wood that you saw piled up in the river a second ago. When seas will cover lands, and when men will be no more, don't think you will forgive you. When life is all over, and there is just silence, don't think you will forgive you. Just so you got something to look at other than my newfound prize. I brought a bunch of prizes like this back from Missouri too, by the way. So I put my can out there as a reference to be able to see where the shot's hitting. And hopefully I'm in screen. I don't have to duck. But those death cult worshipers, I've sent myself a lot of texts that I'm just going to read off in this sort of fashion. Since I don't have cell phone service, perfect opportunity. Phase 2 of my ambassadorship that I've referenced many times is at hand, and this is childhood's end, and there will be a new batch of children to replace those who have not grown. and developed. And those who have will advance to see new life and be initiated into the world at large. Reference here, Kygo, stole the show. And Smash Mouth, then the morning comes. So paint the town, take a bow, thank everybody. You're gonna do it again. You are the few, the proud, you are the antibody, mind, soul, and zen. And the world's a stage, and the world's a phase, and the end is near. So push rewind just in time, thank anybody, you're gonna do it again. The way that you walk is just the way that you talk, like it ain't no thing. And every single day is just a fling, and then the morning comes. In other words, all of you that were fucking around, like the song Warriors by Imagine Dragons. You would lay awake at night and scheme of all the things that you would change, but it was just a dream. I'm getting sidetracked. We're gonna finish the lyrics of this song. Take your knocks, shake them off, duck everybody, you're gonna take them again. You are your foe, your friend, you are the paparazzi, you are the tragedy end. And the world's a craze, and the world's a phase, and the end is near. So push rewind just in time, thank anybody, you're gonna do it again. The way that you walk, it's just the way that you talk, like it ain't no thing. And every single day is just a fling. When it comes, it moves so slow, kind of like it's saying, I told you so. Looking back before she goes, tomorrow's gonna hurt. And the world's a stage, and the world's a phase, and the end is near. So push rewind just in time, thank anybody. Oh, it's just the way that you walk, it's just the way that you talk, like it ain't no thing. And every single day is just a fling, and then the morning comes. There's another song that talks about how you're gonna do it again. Dance monkey. Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. Oh, oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. Anyway, in Dance Monkey, I gotta hear the rhythm, I gotta hear it, and then all of a sudden I can remember all the lyrics. You have to remember the rhythm and the frequency and the beat of the music to suddenly remember the lyrics. In the song Dance Monkey, it's talking about how you're gonna do it again, and you're gonna do it all again. In the song Cold-Blooded Love by Goblins from Mars, when the sun comes up, we are always out of luck. There's no room for us here. And as the night draws near, we are animals of fear. Feel so cold inside my head. What sun might it be referring to that's coming up when the morning comes? Maybe the black sun that puts off ultraviolet light. So you don't need those Hoffman lenses like in the movie They Live, which puts an ultraviolet filter over everything and turns everything kind of black and white when he puts them on. Because there is a black light being shined on everything now, ultraviolet. And everyone can see everything for what it is, just like in the end of the movie when they smash the transmitter. Suddenly everyone can see things for what they are, and it's all in color. There's no longer a need for those black and white lenses that turn everything a sepia tone. That's probably what it's referring to in the song Cold-Blooded Love by Goblins from Mars. When it says, when the sun comes up, we are always out of luck. There's no room for us here. It's a cold-blooded love. It's cold-blooded love. Helps us break each other's hearts. There's a song, I'll link in the description, by Rag and Bone Man called We're Broken People Now, and it uses frames and images from a movie called Bright with Will Smith from 2017. And it's essentially the same exact theme and plot as the series Alien Nation that I watched in the late 80s. For some reason I loved it. Alien Nation, where these aliens come to our world and we call them the newcomers. Our kids are going to school with them. We're going to work with them. They look just like us except they're bald with little brown splotches on their head, little dark colored pigmented splotches on their head. And they are the newcomers. Apparently from the movie Bright, made in 2017 with Will Smith. It's the same exact theme because I looked up a couple of the trailers of the movie after I saw these images in the music video by Rag & Bone Man called We're Broken People Now. I suggest you listen to the music and I'll show you one of those images now. Okay, I'll show you some of those images later because I don't have it set up just yet to be able to do that. And I would have to get in that phone that I'm using to record in order to get these images. So let's go over some of those lyrics. You are the few, the proud, you are the antibody, mind, soul, and zen. That would be a consciousness farm of those who make it through the filter. And thus you get these death-worshipping cults that live their life waiting for that day. Like Skin by Rag & Bone Man. When I heard that sound, when the walls came down, I was thinking about you, and they live their life waiting for that day when those final trumpets are heard. And you would call them a death cult. They worship death. No, they worship the transition of the Dia de los Muertos. And they live their life accordingly until then. So that would be the meaning of that lyric. It's mind, soul, and zen. You are the few, the proud, you are the antibody, like in the petri dish of consciousness, a culture of consciousness. Some are cancer cells, and some are the antibody. So let's just keep going with this since I can't turn it around and push pause. When it's on portrait I can, but when it's not. So I'm gonna make a few more of these videos just reading through some texts, and I'll turn it around and put it on portrait so that way I can pause in between and not waste your time with all this side note stuff. But that wasn't side note stuff. I'm gonna walk that way, I'm gonna walk back this way. Because he wants to hear what the fuck I'm talking about. You are the few, the proud, you are the antibody, mind, soul, and zen. Let's go through those lyrics and see what other ones I can pull out and add a little clarification and meaning to. And the world's a stage, and the world's a phase. By the way, this is by Smash Mouth, the same people that wrote the song, Walking on the Sun. So don't delay, act now, supplies are running out. Allow if you're still alive, 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow, there may be a tomorrow. But if the offer's shunned, you might as well be walking on the sun. I was gonna grab a piece of plasma firewood and show you. Yeah, might as well be walking on the sun if the offer's shunned. And we can see the evidence of that everywhere. Most people are in such denial still. Anyway, so push rewind just in time, thank anybody, you're gonna do it again. Those that don't make it through the filter, do it again, like Groundhog's Day. They give us these truth drops in these movies and songs and many other forms of media. Every single day is just a fling, and then the morning comes. So take your knocks, shake them off, duck everybody, you're gonna take them again. I keep losing my spot when I look up at the camera. You're gonna take them again. You are your foe, your friend. You are the paparazzi. You are the tragedian. And it spells it T-R-A-G-E-D-I-A-N. Maybe you are the tragedian, like the song that says in Imagine Dragons, I'm just a process of the system of catastrophe. The world's a craze and the world's a phase and the end is near. So push rewind just in time, thank anybody. You're gonna do it again. The way that you walk, it's just the way that you talk. Like it ain't no thing. And every single day is just a fling. And when it comes, it moves so slow. Kind of like it's saying, I told you so. Looking back before she goes, tomorrow's gonna hurt. And the world's a stage, and the world's a phase, and the end is near. So push rewind just in time, thank anybody. It's just the way that you walk, it's just the way that you talk, like it ain't no thing, and every single day is just a fling, and then the morning comes. Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom, it is a party. Remember the Dia de los Muertos party? And I'm about to go take a little dip, because these guys got the good spot, they're throwing lures and fishing in it. But they got the zip line over here, holding the log back. We can go show you where the good spot is. Hi. Catching any? Yep, we just caught one actually. Really? They said they just caught a brown. They're over there fly fishing. I told him if he catches another one, holler, I'd like to see it. He said, all right. Shouldn't be too long. And sometimes people say things that they don't even realize what it was they said, like the musician who has the muse spirit flowing through them, and they say things that they don't even realize. It shouldn't be too long. That's right, it won't be too long. Anyway, so that line, there's a zip line right here, a cable. Right here, holding this log in place that creates a bridge. And just the other side of it is that nice slow pool where it's nice and shallow and the water's not moving quickly. So you can hop in that little pool over there to take your little bath or whatever you want to do, to just swim around because it's so freaking hot you feel like you're gonna melt. And then you can come over here, across the way, because you're already be in the water anyway with your feet couple inches deep. I gotta put my flip-flops on. Go throw some candles up in the cave over here. Right there. Maybe get some drums or whatever, some musical instruments and some people singing and some candlelight. And there's your seat. And we're gonna have to get back out into nature for a couple days pretty soon. And I'll talk more about that later, but this is a perfectly good spot. Lots of flat area to set up tents. Fire pit over here. And luckily, there's a sign, a little signpost that they put up within the last, I don't know, few months that says no camping. And I'm glad they put that sign up so that when I show up, there's not people camping already. So people don't get used to it on a regular basis. By the way, just because this is in a fire pit doesn't mean it's not plasma burned wood. See the exchange between burn, unburn, burn. Fire don't do that. This ain't the first time that I've seen plasma burned wood in the fireplace, in the burn pit here. Maybe I can switch this around just to show you the same pattern on the other side. Burn, unburn, charcoal. That charcoaled wood with unburned wood in between it, or that unburned wood with charcoaled wood on either side of it, is a pattern that's produced on both sides of the board. But it's in a burn pit, Jeff. That means it must be someone put a flame to it. Nope. Just because it's in a burn pit. And like I said, at the fire over across the street at the Fish and Game Department, that wood that was in their burn pit was absolutely plasma fired wood. And if after these patterns are developed from the plasma fire, You take gasoline in a match and throw some fire to the outside, it covers the whole thing, and you don't see these patterns anymore. It covers the whole thing with regular fire burn signature. So over there at the Fish and Game, that pillar of smoke we saw coming up was plasma fire smoke, because if they had just taken plasma fired wood, thrown it in their burn pit, and then put a match to it, it would have covered up all the burn signatures that are still very apparent and evident on that wood in the burn pit at the Fish and Game. That one is a very curious instance why I don't even like to talk about it much, because it makes the normie or the newcomer just think, yeah, well, obviously it's a controlled burn and the Fish and Game's doing it. It's in their burn pit. Maybe they're target practicing with their new directed energy stuff and using the Fish and Game burn pit as a place for the location where they direct that stuff. So in that way, yeah, maybe the Fish and Game's doing it. It's in their burn pit. It must be a controlled burn. They must be the ones controlling it. Maybe. Either way, that was plasma fire burn signatures still remaining on those pieces of wood after I filmed the pillar of smoke burning for 3 or 4 hours, and then went over there and saw plasma fire burn signatures all over every piece of wood here. And if they would have just collected plasma fired wood and thrown it in there and burned it to get rid of the evidence, it would have covered it with regular burn signature. If I were to throw a match and or throw this in a fire, let the flame lick the outside of the wood, it would blacken the whole outside, not leave that same pattern there and there on both sides of the wood. So what you can see is that this is the core wood. My shadow's in the way. The core wood is this centerpiece. The outer wood is this shell that you can see on both sides. And that is why the electricity coursing through the middle of it affects the core wood differently than the outer wood. But there is an exchange, a dynamic that's happening here between the two, where it leaves that unburned strip. And that same dynamic, that same motion, that same new law of thermodynamics that none of you have any clue of because you've been having your head in the sand for 4 years. Sorry, I don't mean to bitch at you. But this is the kind of thing that we would study and come up with understandings of together if we all put our heads together. But here it is 4 years later and I'm still the only one. So if I get a little bit abrasive with some of the things I say, here's another. Anyway, if I get a little abrasive with some of the things I say, it's out of frustration, and that frustration is very understandable, and it's like what they call righteous anger. Very justified. Yep.